and the media touches on it once in a while over the 25 years, but they make no to-do about it. When you're playing an extra inning game, let's say the 12th, 13th, 14th, whatever, and the team scores, usually that's the end. It deflates the other guy in the end. But they scored in the 21st inning, and we came back and tied it in the 21st inning. Now that is, to me, an unbelievable feat. And that is something I've always, that deserves as much credit as the game itself.
Well, we tied it up in the ninth, and that seemed forever to get to, just to the ninth inning. And then we kept playing, and the next thing you know, here it is, a 21st inning, they scored. And again, you know, everyone on the field, on both teams, you know, being competitive as we are, you know, we didn't want to let that go then either. You know, we spent a lot of time out here. We wanted to win this game. And we were given a situation to where we tied in the 21st and to keep it going. We took a nice trip to Cooperstown, where the Baseball Hall of Fame is in New York there. And, you know, we had an awesome time. Going through the different halls, having two girls and a boy. I wasn't for sure if the girls were going to latch on, but they did when we started going down the Women's League and going, you know, seeing the wall exhibits of that. And, you know, my son had just finished a report on Jackie Robinson. I got a picture of him along with you know, Jackie Robinson's statue and picture there, and it was just an awesome trip. And we went during induction week too, and so the place was mobbed, and it was all good. We saw the display of the longest game, and the kids were in awe, and I was, you know, it was something to be proud of.
To be involved in something that goes on for however long is always very gratifying. When you play a game that's temporary, when you do something that's fleeting in the scheme of things, and to be involved in something that you say is there things that come up. Well, you know, you're somewhere and somebody will mention, it'll be a trivia question in the paper, and you're like, and then it'll be my name is the winning pitcher, you know, or something. So it's pretty cool. It's just something that you always have in your pocket.
Yeah, I mean, the dugouts were a little different than this, and this is in the old days of the ballpark, so we didn't have the space heaters and all the things that you see now around the dugouts that you just take for granted. And on NFL sidelines, whatever. We had a couple of the players, I think Bobby Ojeda was one of them, pulled a big old 55-gallon trash bin, you know, the old barrels, and wheeled it into the end of the dugout. And bat after bat got broken, and someone finally threw a couple of bats in there and lit them on fire, and every time someone broke a bat, they stuck another bat. And you can literally see guys holding their hands over this open fire to keep warm. And smoke's coming out in the old ballpark. It would just kind of drift off into the street. And they kept warm for 4 hours after midnight, just burning bats.
It was extremely cold, and the wind was blowing in. And I remember as a catcher, I was just putting down fastballs and changeups the whole night, because I remember Bowen hit a ball one time, I forget what inning, but he just crushed the ball, and everybody thought the ball game was over, you know, because we were the last ups, and ball just kind of just came right back in the ballpark. It was just, the wind was blowing that hard, and it was cold, and no one wanted to hit. So as a catcher, I was just putting down fastballs and changeups, and just let him hit away.
We had been attempting to reach the league president all night long. It goes back to the fact that the actual rule that no inning shall begin after 12:50 a.m. was a league constitution rule. But for whatever reason, the umpire's manual did not include that paragraph. It was at the bottom of a page, and that paragraph, for whatever reason, happened to be cut off. That's why we played the longest game. And it got to the point where we took the league constitution out to Jack Leitz, who was the umpire-in-chief, probably about 1:30 in the morning. And we said, Jack, here it is. Here's the league constitution. He said, Mike, that book doesn't mean a damn thing to me. And we kept playing and playing and playing.
You compete until the end, and you're thinking you're going to find a way to win, and you're happy when you come back, and you know the game goes on. It's like, hey, we still have a chance. And being the home team, you think that as long as we're tied and it comes to our turn, we get a chance to win every time we come up. So there were plenty of opportunities there.
Well, you know what? It's all a blur to me now. I don't know exactly how Joe got thrown out now. All I know is that Mike Rourke took over. And Mike Rourke was the manager in charge when we won the game in the 33rd.
Yeah, it got too cold for him, you know, and there was a controversial play that but I think Joe had had enough.
He looked at the game through a hole, and it was the old stadium, and there was a, I don't know, quarter-inch, half-inch plywood behind the dugout, and he had a hole in there, and he was looking at the whole game with a hole and talking to Mike.
Knowing Joe was probably in the tunnel still calling the shots. And now being a coach myself, I'm coaching with Getty, who was involved in the first 32, ironically, and I was involved in the last one. How Joe managed that game to get that much pitching. You know, and granted, he dipped into the starting pitchers of the next day to get through this game, but Joe wasn't the type of guy to throw a left fielder just to get the thing over with. Joe wanted to win every time he came out there. You know, I really enjoyed playing for the man, and he did a remarkable job of managing that game from the bench and from the tunnel.
Here we are at about 3:45 in the morning, and Rochester's got a guy at second base with an out, or 2 outs, no, with an out in the top of the 32nd, and Sam Bowen throws the guy out at the plate in the top of the 32nd inning. It'll never happen again. But it showed to me the true pride of a professional baseball player. That to me epitomizes this ball game. To make that type of play when if the ball was 2 foot up one foul line or the other, no one would have ever known. But to throw that guy out at the plate, remarkable.
Now everybody's gone. The 32nd inning's been completed, as Mike said, in dramatic fashion, and the guys are literally zombie-like, walking through, grabbing a shower, getting changed. And I remember just looking out right over here at the foul pole, and the pink was starting to kind of just streak behind the foul pole. And we all walked out, and Boggs and Ripken and Doc Edwards were in the lobby, in the old lobby, and nobody knew who Cal Ripken was at the time. And Boggsy wasn't a known player at the time. They just kind of laughing because they were the 2 third basemen. And I just kind of looked around, and birds were chirping. And it was Easter Sunday morning, and the whole world had awakened. It was now morning time, and we were off. People were off getting breakfast, and it just finally sank in. We had played baseball all night long, and the sun was out, and the birds were chirping. Like, you know, we really hadn't grasped the kind of history that last 8 hours or so had kind of thrust us into.
You know, at the time, we really didn't think about the record. We didn't think about, you know, making history or being in the Hall of Fame or anything like that. It was just as a night that was, I can't believe this game went on as long as it did, you know. You know, in the long evening and the long morning, you know, it was a game that will never end. But it was nothing. at that time, I don't think we knew until the next day when we came to the ballpark that it was in fact, I think it was either Ben or Mike informed us that we just made history last night. So.
Yeah, 2 months later, here we are in a packed stadium, and geez, the bases are loaded, and I come up, and there's nobody out. And yeah, you talk about a hitter's dream to be in that situation at that time. Nervous, pressure, and all that goes hand in hand. And I was just put in the right place at the right time, I feel.
I wanted to win. I wanted to win so badly. I didn't care if it lasted 33 innings. I wanted to win. But funny thing, we were in Charleston, and Joe Morgan, when Mike gave him the news, sent Bobby Ojeda home ahead of time to rest up to pitch that game. And he'd come out here and work out, He's alone in the field. So I'm sitting there, and I must have looked kind of sad, because he came up and sat next to me. And he says, "What are you sad about?" I said, "Bobby, it's our game. We can't lose this game." Put his arm around my shoulder, and he says, "Boss, have a good night's sleep. They're never going to score on me."
That is great.
I think that what's interesting to me is that everybody's take on it is essentially the same, that it was really cold. I think, guys hit bombs that were out of here on any given night, but this night, but they seem to be a little bit higher and a little bit further, but at the same time, you know, nobody has embellished it, because you can't embellish 33 innings. You can't embellish the amount of putouts and guy going 0 for 14 or striking out 7 times. I mean, you know, guys talking about their average dropping 50 points when the game was finally put into the record book for the year. It's just, you know, every time you think you can exaggerate on the story, it's just, when you just look at that line score, 0 after 0 after 0 for 31 innings, you know, 32 innings and 33 innings. You know, Joe Morgan said it best. He goes, when we finally had the resumption of the game, he goes, I want to play another 10 or so. Let's get it into the 40 so they'll never break this thing. And somebody looked at Joe, he goes, Joe, they'll never break this thing at 33.